Hey guys, this is Nathan from Arms of Ilum, and I want to share a recent saber build that I completed. This hilt is based on an Ultrasabers Apprentice V4. It has a custom powder coat job in gold and silver with the Jedi emblem opposite the switch. Internally, it sports a Plecter Labs Pico Crumble and a Tri-Cree XPE2 red, green, royal blue. The reason it has the royal blue is because the customer had asked for a nice dark purple and for the blade color, and that's the best way to get it. If we had gone with something like a blue, it probably would have come out much more pink than it did. I also chose the Pico Crumble because the customer wanted sound, but he didn't want all the other features. He wanted something that was affordable, that would simply get the job done, and I think it's a great choice for this. Coincidentally, the Pico Crumble also has some color changing ability, although it isn't quite as user friendly as the Prism or another board that's intended to do that. So we'll go through that in a moment. Elsewhere in the hilt we have an MHS V6 chassis with a 2-watt base speaker and an 18650 lithium ion battery. The activation switch here is a brass AV 16mm switch. And we have an MHS Pommel as well, just for an little added flair. So I mentioned that the Pico Crumble isn't necessarily the most user-friendly color-changing board out there, but it isn't all that difficult either. There are a couple ways you can get to the service menu on this board. One, you can take the battery out, hold down the button while putting the battery back in, and after a few seconds it'll boot into the service menu. I'm not going to show that here because I think it's kind of it takes a little more effort. I also don't necessarily recommend taking the battery in and out when you don't need to necessarily. So what we're going to do here is the saber's been sitting for quite a while, and it's in its deep sleep mode at this point. In deep sleep, the saber uses very little power. Plecter Labs does a great job of power management on these sabers while they're sitting, so I could leave this for weeks, months, and it would still hold a charge once I picked it up and was ready to use it. But also, while it's in the deep sleep mode, we can access the service menu simply by holding the switch down for several seconds until it beeps, and then it'll boot into that mode. Notice here, it's booted into the purple. This is a really deep lavender. I think it looks great, but it does tend more towards the blue. So if you wanted like a pinker blade, you would use a slightly lower resistor on the red, but here this is exactly what the customer asked for, and I think it came out great. Then you hit the button again, and we'll cycle to the red. This is a lime green. It's very bright, looks great. It's even all the way down the blade. This blade, by the way, is a heavy grade Ultraedge blade from Ultrasabers. It looks great on this. Even as a heavy grade, it's still very bright. Then there's your standard green. A nice ice blue, looks fantastic. Royal blue. And now we're back to purple. Since purple is what we want to stick with, we're going to choose this one, and to select it, we simply hold down the switch again. It'll beep, and it'll go off. Now the saber's back in deep sleep mode. And in order to activate it from deep sleep mode, we simply hit the button. You hear the boot sound, and after the boot sound, we hit it again, and boom. A nice activation sound, very well paced with the light activation as well. We've got clash, and you can see the clash turns on all the dice in the LED. So in this case, because of the way it's set up, we get a nice cool white, which matches the purple really well. It's not like as crazy as maybe a yellow or a red flash on clash, but it looks great here. You get swing sounds, a hard swing and a soft swing. And the one thing I want to mention about this Pico Crumble is that it's fantastically responsive. It's actually better than the Nano Biscotti I recently installed in that regard. However, I've got the boards in slightly different places in the hilt, so I think that that's really more at play here. But I mean, you can hear it's spot on. Every time I move this saber, it's playing the swing sound, and that's perfect. Then simply hold down the button for about half a second, to deactivate, and there you go. So overall, I think this is a great build, great way to get into a sound-enabled saber without the high cost, and the fact that you can switch the colors is just added benefit. I hope you enjoyed this. If you want to see better pictures of the saber, you can simply go to the link in the description for the full rundown, written rundown on my website. Otherwise, thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.